Alon, Wasalon, you with the nasty past, and I'm back with another chapter read from, they're my favorite book, and I'm sorry. Look, out of all the readings I do, I get happy. Yeah, I get happy. You know what I mean? I get very happy that when I go back and I read this, I touch on this, it's sentimental in a happy way, you know what I mean? A joyous way. I don't know if I would have ever woke up if I wouldn't have wrote this. I mean, not wrote this, but read this. I don't know. I don't know how not coming across this would have structured my life. You get what I'm saying? I don't know. I know a light bulb went off. I know going back into the prison system. I've been to prison twice. I know going back into the prison system, how to put this, you know what I mean? I knew that I didn't have to be there. I knew that this was a learning lesson that you have to go through regardless. You was going to go through this regardless. You get what I'm saying? This was out of your hand. This was something that you had to fall to reach a gift. You get what I'm saying? My first incarceration, I received this stolen legacy. The second time I was in prison, I received the Egyptian Book of the Dead. You feel me? So I say this to you again, you know what I mean? This opened the door to me restructuring my life. This opened the door for me to listen to an elderly man that was able to speak to me and talk to me and convince me to restructure my life when I leave about this prison setting. You get me? The saddest part of it all, I can never tell you this man's name. I don't know his name. I do not know his name. I could probably remember his face, but I do not know his name. And our angels sometimes come as strangers. Come as strangers. It's not for you to meet them. It was for him to continue watering the seed that was planted in me 6 years ago. 6 years before I met him. You get me? It was for him to water that seed that was put in me 6 years ago. Look, let's get into stolen legacy. You with the nasty pastor, you know that, right? You really with him. You got what I'm saying? So let's get into stolen legacy, and we're in chapter 8, and I believe this is part 3 or part 4, but let's proceed. You got what I'm saying? A, text of part 3. In this third part of the Memphite theology, the primate of the gods is represented as Ptah, thought logos, and creative power which are exercised over all creatures. He transmits power and spirit to all gods and controls the lives of all things, animals and men, through his thought and commands. In other words, it is in him that all things live, move, and have their eternal being. Now we know that it speaks of the demiurge as the universe. We know that it says Ptah threw out 4 more gods and turned that into 8 gods, right? So let's really figure it. You get what I'm saying? Let's really figure how to process this book, because it's a little confusing. You feel what I'm saying? There is some, not contradiction, but there is some confusion language in this, where that, when you speak of the demiurge, okay, that is the creator of the universe. I'm part of the universe right here on this rock. You feel what I'm saying? Earth is part of the universe. Now it's telling you Ptah. You got what I'm saying? This is another name. Ptah is, controls the lives of all things. Now we know the demiurge control the lives of all things, right? Okay. This is what I'm basically really saying to you, you know what I mean? For those of you that pray to Amun-Ra, 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 Amun-Ra is Atum. You feel what I'm saying? When you go into another culture, you get Diablo. When you go into another culture, you get Satan. You get all of that. You understand what I'm saying? You get all these different names. You get me? So pay attention. Pay attention. Ask questions. You get me? Ask questions. The philosophy of part 3. From part 3, we infer the following doctrines. All things were created by the thought and command of Ptah, the God of gods. Through the thought and command of Ptah, we all live, move, and have our eternal being. Ptah is creator and preserver, as has already been pointed out elsewhere. Ptah powers were transmitted by magical means to Atum, who performed the work of creation. Let's get into this will be Doctrine 2, Memphite theology in the source of modern scientific knowledge. A, the need at the nebula hypothesis. B, the identity between the sun god, Atum, and the atom of science. Now we know Amun-Ra is the sun god, right? We all know that, right? But it just tells you the identity between the sun god, Atum, and the atom of science, right? I rest my case. Let's proceed. A, the need and the nebula hypotheses coincide. Just as the Memphite theology is the source of Greek philosophy or primitive science, so it is also the basis of modern scientific belief. The gods of order and arrangement in the cosmos are represented by 9 gods in the Godhead called the Enid, Atum, the sun god, fire god, creates 8 other gods by naming 4 pairs of parts of his own body from which they came forth. Here are the names of the created gods were given as Shu and Tefnut, air and moisture, Geb and Nut, earth and sky, and 2 other pairs of opposites, Osiris and Isis, and Seth and Nefertiti. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. You know, I don't want to disrespect my ancestors. You got me? Who are supposed to be the first creatures of this world. Now, if we compare this Egyptian cosmology with the nebula hypotheses of Laplace, we would find very striking similarities in the 2 contexts. According to the nebula hypotheses, our present solar system was once a molten gaseous nebula. This nebula rotated at an enormous speed, and as the mass cooled down, it also contracted and developed greater speed. The result was a bulging at the equator and a gradual breaking off of the gaseous rings, which formed themselves into planets. Come on now, come on now, come on. Come on. I've heard it before in science. You feel what I'm saying? I've heard that before in science. You know, especially about the gaseous stuff. You know what I mean? The forming of the planets. That's kind of new to me. You know what I mean? But how to say this? How to really say this? I can believe that. I could stand on that. You know, in a good 60% is true. You know how this is explained. It's true. You know, I don't know of anyone that has did a project, a thesis, a hypothesis on a smaller level to prove that fact, but it should be done. It really should be done. You should be able to take the elements that's needed in a small amount and produce a circular replica of this rock we live on. You should be able to do it. You got what I'm saying? If the directions are right, if the recipe is right, it should show a reality after you perform these tasks, right? Cool. The result was a bulging at the equator and a gradual breaking off of gaseous rings which formed themselves into planets. These planets in turn threw off gaseous rings which formed themselves into smaller bodies until at last the sun was left as the remnant of the original parent nebula. From this context, it is clear that the original parent nebula was fire or the sun, and that by throwing off parts of itself, it created some planets, which in turn threw off parts of themselves and created others. Now I can go for that. You know what I mean? When you look at the sun, there is gas, there are flames that is shooting out into the universe. Universe cold. You feel what I'm saying? The universe is cold up there. I mean cold. There's no, the closer you get to the sun, you get hot. You feel what I'm saying? You get hot. But I can understand the throwing off, of these chemicals, and they're being cooled off. What I don't get is you telling me that that's God. Now I don't get that. What I don't get, you telling me that's the demiurge. I don't get that, because if you listen to the sentences before it, it says that it was formed later. You hear what I'm saying? It was formed last. Everything else was formed first. You get me? You get it now. Please understand. Please. Where we at? Which in turn threw off parts of themselves and created others. According to the context of the Memphite, the theology, the creator God was the sun god or fire god Atum, who named 4 pairs of parts of his own body from which gods came from. But Atum, together with the 8 created gods, composed the Enid or Godhead of 9, a very striking similarity with modern science, which teaches that there are 9 major planets. Yes, there is. Well, to be honest with you, there are more planets. They have found more in our solar system in the now. I know when I was a kid, they only talked about 9, and Pluto was the last one. There are planets behind Pluto that they know of now. So that can't be accurate. You understand what I'm saying? We may now summarize these similarities. The creator God in both the Egyptian and modern cosmologies in the sun or fire. The creator God in both cosmologies creates gods from parts of himself. The number of gods are 9 and correspond with the 9 major planets. These similarities make it evident that Laplace obtained his hypotheses from the Memphite theology or other Egyptian sources. Now I say this to you again, you know what I mean? We're gonna end this chapter read right there. And I say this to you, again, that the first trick that Satan put upon this rock was to get you to believe that Satan was God. You feel what I'm saying? That Satan was God. That Amun Re, Amun Ra is your Alpha, is your Omega. No. Something created Satan. Something created Amun Re, Amun Ra. You feel what I'm saying? The demiurge. You feel me? Satan is my brother. You feel what I'm saying? The demiurge created me. The demiurge created you. You understand? You get it? Stop praying to a man. And I'm gonna say this to you again. You got what I'm saying? When you view my prayers or you listen to my prayers, I'm not praying to Jesus. You feel what I'm saying? I put Jesus in my prayers because you can't get to heaven without knowing Jesus. You can't get to heaven without knowing Jesus. And that is what the demiurge has told you. That is part of the commandments. Get to know Jesus so you can get to heaven. You get me? When I pray in the demiurge name, in Jesus' name, in Horus' name, you get me? If you understand my culture, then you should understand the story of Jesus and Horus is the same. Them the same entities. They're the same soul. I believe that Horus was reincarnated in Jesus. Look, you've been with the nasty pastor. This has been another chapter read of Stolen Legacy. You know I love you. You got me? You know I love you. I'm out.